Could you imagine renting an electric vehicle and driving from New York City to California? Well, that is exactly what we are doing. This is Tying It Together with Tim Boyum, a Spectrum News production. Normally a weekly podcast about the stories and people behind politics, but for the next 8 or 9 days or so, we are going to come at you every single day with an episode because this is Front Porch Politics across America. I do a TV show that's called Front Porch Politics, and it really focuses on the people, everyday people in communities, not candidates or institutions like Congress and state legislatures. Those are really important, and we cover those too. But this show in particular focuses on this. And I wanted to take a trip across America to talk to everyday people and see how they're feeling after a chaotic summer of politics with the assassination attempt against the former President Donald Trump, Joe Biden dropping out, and then, of course, Kamala Harris getting the nomination and moving forward. So in order to do that, we said, heck, why not fly to New York City and drive to Los Angeles and visit many battleground states along the way. We're going to Pennsylvania. So I'm in a hotel room, as you can tell if you're watching this right now. There's a coffee maker right there. And we're going to go to Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, through Missouri, through Oklahoma, New Mexico, and then some other battleground states like Arizona, Nevada, and also California. We're going to tell stories as we go. But also, yes, we are driving an electric vehicle. I thought it'd be fascinating. I've never driven one, and neither has, frankly, most of America. Less than 10% of Americans own these electric vehicles. And there's also this sort of political strife about it. The Biden administration wants to push forward to manufacture more and more EVs, maybe half within the next 8 to 10 years of all cars produced. Some manufacturers have said that too. And Donald Trump is saying, whoa, not so fast. You can't even take long trips with this. Well, we're going to experiment with that. And today was day one. So we landed, I'm telling you what, it is now 11:02 p.m. We got up at 3 o'clock this morning on Monday, September 30th, and we flew from Raleigh, where I live, up to New York City, LaGuardia. We went to the rental place. We got it. We went to the Valentino Pier and started this whole show, this whole episode, this journey, this adventure at the Valentino Pier in Brooklyn, in sight of the Statue of Liberty. And then all day today, we've been crossing Pennsylvania, and it's been a trek. So let's get some stats updates first on what tracking the charging, because I know that's the big question, right? Range anxiety. Oh no, will I get to the next charging station? It's something I had from the minute we got off the lot. It, certainly went down to 99, and I started freaking out already. So we charged twice today. We started driving, as we mentioned, in Brooklyn. We made it to Morgantown, Pennsylvania. We had about 34% left in the car, so we made it 156 miles. And we found superchargers. We have a Tesla Model 3. That's the car that we're driving. And we decided to stop there because we needed to just take a break. We needed to do some live hits for our national network and friends across the place. So it took about 35 to 40 minutes to fill it all the way back up to 100%. And it cost $16.13. That then lasted 188 miles because we stopped in Somerset, Pennsylvania tonight, about 8:43 p.m. That took 43 minutes to refill because we had the car all the way down to 12%. And the computer was freaking out about it. It tells you literally how the next supercharge station you can go to, but it was confused for some reason of where we were, and it said you have a negative 0.5% charge to get to this location. And boy, did I get really nervous. But we got it all figured out. So anyways, it took about 43 minutes to do that charge, and it was $22.40. So that is the charging that took place today. We drove another 66 miles for a grand total of 410 miles today. We are staying the night just outside Pittsburgh. Now, earlier today, we stopped in Upper Marion Township. This is just northwest suburb, essentially, of Philadelphia. And the reason we stopped there is because we met a man named Matt McCaffrey. And he was a local GOP leader there. And I say was because earlier this summer, he decided to write an op-ed in the Philadelphia Inquirer endorsing Kamala Harris as a local GOP leader. Now, to put this straight, he has not been a supporter of Donald Trump for some time. He even, was pretty vocal about it, and they still elected him, in charge of this little area of the GOP. But that seemed to kind of put it over the edge. And so they did start a sort of an inquiry into it. Well, in the meantime, in August, he went on CNN and he talked about why he was, going for Kamala Harris instead of Donald Trump, even though he is this local Republican leader. Well, he went home and that night he got swatted. Well, what is swatting? Well, it's when someone emails or calls the police department and says that, in this instance, that he was holding his wife and his daughter hostage in the house. So the next thing you know, the police show up. Here's how he described it to me.
So down I went and opened the door, and they're like, come on outside. And there's a bunch of police officers with weapons drawn and frisking me and having me move down to my driveway and searching my house.
So you can imagine he was a little nervous, right? Well, kind of. But he didn't back down. By the way, the following Monday, the interview and the swatting took place on Friday. On Monday, the party officially kicked him out. But he is still a Republican to this day. He still believes that he in the Republican sort of backbone of what they are, what he says they used to be. But he's not backing down from backing Kamala Harris in this race. And here's why.
It's sad. That's all I could say. It's like the America I grew up in, and again, I'll say this 100 times. I'm no one special, but on the same token, people with my background 40 years ago would be treated with respect and some dignity, regardless of your political views. I served in the Marine Corps in combat. I was an elected official for 2 terms. I've served my community at every chance I've gotten. I consider myself to be a productive member of society. For folks to disparage me, disparage my family, feel like they have the right to come up to me and say whatever they feel, that's not the America I grew up in. We're Americans together. And this inflection point that we have, we're either going to go one way or the other. And that's how I feel. And to the right, you have more division. And then to the left, you have reconciliation. And that's where I'm at. With so little time left, you're going to hear about immigration. You're going to hear about the economy. You're going to hear about these issues that we probably should really be talking about. And really what it's going to come down to, in my opinion, is character. And I think a lot of the folks that are coming out now, Republicans that have served in the Senate, served in the military, that are coming out now in support of Harris, you're hearing that drumbeat. And I think that's the drumbeat that's going to win this election. This is who you got. They are 2 polar opposite human beings. Which America do you want to live in?
All right, so as I mentioned, we're taping this on Monday night, September 30th. Tomorrow, we're going to wake up, we're going to go to Butler, Pennsylvania, get a little different view of Trump in Pennsylvania. This, of course, was where the attempted assassination attempt took place back this summer. We're going to meet an artist, a sculptor, who was inspired with, when he stood up and did this, raised his fist and after the shooting happened, with the blood running down the side of his face, to make a sculpture of that. And he did it out of I think it was 10,000 nails he molded together to build this statue. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Donald Trump was the first person he ever voted for in his entire life. Only person for president. So we're going to meet him and talk to him about why he, supports Donald Trump and what he thinks about today's politics. Then we're going to Lordstown, Ohio. That's where a GM plant was for over half century. It shut down. Donald Trump told them to not, move or sell their homes. A plant was coming back. It didn't, but there is an EV plant today building batteries there. So how is this town shaking out? It's really interesting politically too. And then tomorrow night, we're going to end up in Lansing, Michigan. This is on Tuesday. We're going to talk to some independent voters there about why they're independent, why they feel like they're an island, and what are they looking for in one of these candidates? What's going to make them choose one or the other? And so then the following days, as I mentioned, we're going to go to Wisconsin. We're going to go see some dairy farmers in Wisconsin. They feel a little left behind. We're going to talk about the abortion issue in St. Louis. It's on the ballot there. And then, of course, we're going to continue on the rest of our trip. So make sure to follow us on all my social media platforms, all of Spectrum News platforms. We will continue to have updates, hopefully every night like this. But we'll see. We're exhausted after this, but I think it's going to be a little more smooth sailing. Now we have a better idea of how to drive the Tesla. If you got questions about this, holler at me too. I'll try to answer them on this podcast. So thank you so much for listening. Wish us luck the rest of the trip. You've been listening to Tying It Together with Tim Boyum, a Spectrum News One production. A podcast that takes you behind the scenes and stories of politics in North Carolina and across the country. Holler me their questions, comments, concerns, and ideas for future shows. In the meantime, be well, be kind. If you can buy local, we'll talk to you maybe tomorrow.